All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. This is Dan Lyons over at the National Weather Service in Raleigh with today's Thursday briefing. We got quite a bit to talk about today. So let's just jump right in and talk about first things first. We still have a flood watch out for the entire area that we're responsible for across central North Carolina. And these flood watches actually extend through the eastern part of the state as well, all the way out to the coast. So kind of a widespread area where there are some concerns for heavy rainfall and flooding. Now, this flood watch in particular is going to be in effect until late tonight. Midnight tonight is when this thing will time out. And really up until then is the period we're the most concerned about showers and thunderstorms, potentially producing flooding of low-lying and normally flood-prone areas. We certainly had quite a bit of rain the past several days. We got more rain in the forecast today. It looks like things will start to give it up and calm down later tomorrow into the weekend. I'll talk about that in a few minutes here. But at least wanted to drive this point home that we do have this flood watch out until midnight tonight, just for everyone's awareness. So let's talk big picture wise, what we're looking at for the upcoming week ahead. Today, we are still in a pattern that's going to promote scattered showers, thunderstorms. We've had on and off rain across portions of the area already through the day today, and that's going to continue through the rest of the afternoon into the evening hours. And that's all ahead of a front, which is kind of pinned up against the mountains right now. Okay, and you can see on the map in the upper left, it's pretty much high and dry across the Great Lakes. Things are nice and calm up there. There's a front that's west of the mountains. That'll eventually arrive at some point tomorrow into Saturday, and you can see that in the map in the upper right. But before that happens, we've got the rain today. The flood watch is out till midnight. When the front moves through tomorrow, we'll probably get some additional showers and thunderstorms, maybe not as many as we've seen the past couple days, but there'll certainly be some showers around, especially across the southern portion of the state, kind of near the North Carolina, South Carolina border. And that'll happen as that front sweeps through the area tomorrow. Once it does, though, it'll actually be a little bit less humid, and we should be rain-free for the weekend. Now, if you are, again, across the far southern coastal plain, the far southern sandhills areas, I can't rule out a stray shower or two, but nothing like what we've seen as of late. And Sunday should actually be dry area-wide, so nice, quiet, dry weather ahead by the time we get to Sunday. Once we get into early next week, Monday, we start to get back to a typical pattern that we would normally see for late July across the Carolinas, with high pressure off the coast and daily shower and thunderstorm chances, mainly across the western part of the state near the mountains. That's pretty much run of the mill, what you would expect this time of year, and that's the pattern we're going to start to get back into on Monday. Wednesday, they may become a little bit more numerous area-wide, but again, nothing like what we've seen. This pattern we've been stuck in for the past 2 weeks has been productive. It's certainly helped our drought conditions, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. But it's also been problematic because we've certainly had some areas where we've seen too much rainfall in too short of a time. But if we can get through today and the first part of tomorrow, we should be in the clear and kind of back to normal by the time we get to next week. So let's talk about severe weather potential. We are seeing some showers and thunderstorms already developing out across, I-85 all the way back to the Triad at the moment. There's a little bit of shower activity, some stronger cells north of the Triangle, and then off to the northeast around I-95, kind of up near Roanoke Rapids over to Rocky Mount. Pretty much areas along and east of US 1 today. There is a low-end chance, but it's at least worth mentioning, that there is a few storms in that area that you see in that darker color of green there could be strong to maybe severe later this afternoon. We're going to take a look at that and kind of closely monitor that as we go through the rest of the morning into the afternoon hours. The morning cloud cover that we had across the area is generally not conducive for severe weather later in the day. There's still a lot of cloud cover out there. So we're going to see how things evolve. Keep an eye out for any updates that we might send out about severe weather. We're going to kind of wait and see how things go here in the next few hours. But certainly the area in darker green, if there were going to be severe weather, that would be the area that would see it. Now, when that front comes through tomorrow, we're not expecting much really in the way of severe weather at all. Could there be a stray shower that gets kind of strong and puts out some gusty winds? Sure, but it's not going to be very organized. It's not going to be very widespread or anything of that nature. Saturday, you can see that very light shaded greeting again across the portions of the Sandhills, southern coastal plain. That's where, again, we might get a stray shower, but by and large, Saturday should be dry, no threat of severe weather. And then really for much of the upcoming week here, all the way through the first day of August, next Thursday, no noteworthy threats of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. So I already talked about rainfall a little bit, and I had mentioned we have a flood watch for the entire area all the way out to the coast. And if you look at the rainfall totals that you see in the map in the upper left, you can see some of those blues and purples and darker colors do indeed extend all the way from the triangle all the way out to the coast. And that is really the area that we're most focused on today for flooding. Now, anybody anywhere in central North Carolina, if a shower, thunderstorm happens to sit over your area for long enough, yeah, there could absolutely be some flooding in those areas. But if I had to isolate one part of the state versus another, I would say the eastern part of the state probably has the best chance for flooding today. When you take a look at the map for Friday, you can see we've got still some continued rainfall, not nearly as much, which is probably a good thing at this point. And certainly our friends in the Western Piedmont there around Greensboro, boy, you may not see any rainfall whatsoever during the day tomorrow. Saturday, pretty much dry everywhere. Again, a stray shower maybe across the south. That's about it. Sunday, dry across central North Carolina. And then when you start to see Monday's totals in there, that's just a reflection of some of those kind of typical afternoon showers and thunderstorms that we see across the Western Piedmont. And that's what that's trying to show there. Rainfall totals, what you see in that 5-day graphic on the bottom, the vast majority of that is probably going to occur today. And you can see some of the totals on there, 1 to 1.5 inches. I would be remiss if I didn't say you could certainly get higher totals under some thunderstorms that sit in the same area for quite a while. But by and large, inch and a half of rain is what we're looking at, with higher amounts once you get out closer to the coast. Now, with some of those rainfall totals as high as they are and as saturated as the ground has been, we do have an area of a slight risk for excessive rainfall from the Weather Prediction Center, pretty much covering all of North Carolina today. There's a narrow strip of counties, up near Danville that may not be under as great of a threat for flooding today. But by and large, the vast majority of the state is under the gun for a slight risk where there could be some scattered flash flood reports that do occur. When you look at Friday, that threat shifts to the south. And again, that's what we talked about before, where if there were going to be any areas that did see some showers and thunderstorms that tried to get their act together, it would be across the southern part of the state. And that's reflected in that graphic for Friday. And then once we get to Saturday, really nothing to worry about. When we move ahead to Sunday, definitely nothing to worry about. We'll be hard pressed to find showers anywhere across central North Carolina on Sunday. And then Monday, we start to see the western half of the state highlighted for some isolated flash flooding. And again, this isn't too much of a worry. This is just what you would typically see for this time of year, where showers pop up. They're pretty efficient rain producers. Maybe low-lying, flood-prone areas see a little bit of flooding, and that's it. So nothing really significant to write home about with that outlook on Monday. Now, I had mentioned before that the rainfall that we've had has been beneficial for the drought concerns that we've had, and that is certainly good news. The drought update has come out today, and you can see pretty much a wholesale categorical improvement across the board. If you look at today's map versus last week's drought status, pretty much everybody was improved by one category, and we've completely eradicated the D3 extreme drought that we had in 2 portions of the state. That's now gone. And this outlook does not factor in any rainfall that we had yesterday, and it certainly doesn't factor in any rainfall that we're going to receive today or tomorrow. But certainly some good news to share here, that the drought is improving. Still have a way to go in some areas. The Northwest Piedmont, there's still some severe drought in those areas, and certainly across The southern coastal plain, there's still some severe drought in those areas as well. But these are also some of the areas that stand a good chance of getting some rainfall today. So we'll see where that takes us. Let's also talk about the 2- and 7-day graphics for the National Hurricane Center. I don't have the 2-day graphic on here because it's not really necessary at this point. We are looking at no tropical cyclone activity for the next week. The conditions across the Atlantic are just really not favorable whatsoever. So the Hurricane Center, not really concerned about anything happening through at least early next week, if not longer. So quiet tropical weather. We will take that break for sure. Now let's talk big picture wise here. What's going to happen in the week 2 time frame, the 8 to 14 day outlook? Normally we have some maps that are zoomed in a little bit across North Carolina here. I elected to take a big picture view here because I want to show what the main weather story is going to be next week. There's going to be a pretty vast area of above normal temperatures across the central and northern plains, even up into the Great Lakes. And I'm sure that will make headlines just with the potential for hot temperatures, excessive heat, how dry it's going to be. Oftentimes when you have massive areas of hot temperatures, you tend to have massive areas of dry weather. And that's what you see on the graphic on the right, with pretty decent chances for below normal temperatures, below normal precipitation. Closer to home though, the odds are tilted in favor of above normal temperatures. But it doesn't look like the odds are too in favor of anything extreme. A few weeks ago, we had several days in a row with temps in the upper 90s, around 100, heat indices in the 105 to 110 degree range. It doesn't look like that's necessarily in the cards, but you can see based on this map, it's not that far away, right? All you have to do is go up to Northern Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio. So it's something we're going to monitor. We're certainly going to be looking at temperatures increasing next week, but perhaps not to the extent as some of our other friends in the Central Plains may see. Now, in terms of precipitation, with this pattern that we're getting into, this is going to be very similar to what we usually see around this time of year, with afternoon showers and thunderstorms, typically dissipating by the evening and then quiet overnight through the morning hours. Because of that, that's really normal for this time of year. So the odds are tilted pretty favorably toward near normal precipitation next week into the first week of August. All right, let's close this out here with 2 slides to go. The graphical hazardous weather outlook that we have shown here for today. Our main threats, severe thunderstorms. I mentioned that area along and east of US 1. That's kind of where we're focused on today, and that's why the lightning risk is kind of high on there as well. Excessive rainfall, certainly a concern today. We have that flood watch out until midnight tonight. Tomorrow, not too concerned about severe weather, really. There could be a few showers that do produce some localized flooding. That's why we see that orange color for the excessive rainfall. And I did want to point out, I talked about Saturday and Sunday being dry, but why are the lightning categories highlighted for Saturday, Sunday? That's really just along the North Carolina, South Carolina border. So that's really nothing to be concerned about area wide. And if anything, that Sunday may be a bit over exaggerated. That, based on what we're going to look at our forecast update later today, that may become a none once we update the forecast later today. And then once we start to get into next week, again, daily shower thunderstorm chances, they produce lightning, a little bit of a risk there as well. And then I had alluded to temperatures starting to creep upward by the early to middle part of next week. And that's why we start to see that excessive heat category starting to light up a little bit. All right, so let's bring it home. We got numerous showers and thunderstorms expected today. It's been raining on and off all day at this point. Primary threat with these is definitely going to be heavy rain. A stray shower or two could get strong, could put out some gusty winds. Can't entirely rule that out. We have the flood watch that's in effect until midnight tonight. We will have a front that sweeps through the area tomorrow, late in the day. There will be some showers with that, but the good news for those who want some dry weather and some quiet weather, the weekend looks dry, maybe a little bit less humid, which is certainly a welcome change from what we've had. But we get right back into it next week with showers and thunderstorms returning mainly across the western Piedmont, kind of typical pattern for late July, early August.